Okay, welcome back to the stream. So we are continuing the weird things I was doing to Ecto previously. Or we're picking up wherever I left off last, which wasn't... I've done some work since the last stream, so... I need to sleep. So... database stuff is on the agenda. And... remember that I was doing things to the store module last time around. So if we take a look at... actually, I'm probably going to want to reorganize a little bit. Let's do this. And that's because I'm going to need to have the documentation up. And last time I didn't have the documentation so you guys could see it, which sucked. I think I'll be spending a bunch of time here. So back to store. So if we look at what I've done to insert, rather than generate SQL in the way I did previously, I'm now having the connection module generate SQL for me. And that's better. Because there's a bunch of quirks between SQLite, MySQL, and Postgres that I don't really want to care about. And this allows me to not particularly care about it. So let's take this. Just do... I don't know if the concat is the best way to get this module, but it will work. And that will have to be good enough for now. So this list thing, it runs some SQL. And if we go back to insert, look at how we generate that SQL and then how we run it. We don't need that anymore. So that's what happens there. We want to do something similar here. So rather than that, we would do this. And I think that can be empty. Let's see what they want in def all. Query. It's unexpected. So that actually requires a query, does it? What's actually required in Ecto query struct? I don't know by heart. Types. Oh, here's a def select. I think I prefer that. That's not part of the bigger interface. So let's try to keep it correct. So at impl, those are the ones that are appropriate for us right now. Prepare, execute, execute, execute. So here's insert. Those did not require a query, which was nice. So looking through this, it doesn't really give me a good way of building a select statement by calling these things, because all requires a query, and I bet check create names. Sources, blah, 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 as prefix. Or if I use, look at def CTE, which was also. It's possible I could make up an Ecto query that's not really full, but it's also possible that select asterisk from all will actually work on every single variant of SQL I might run into, and then maybe we don't need that part for lists, which would be fine. Okay, so let's do update instead. That's not what I wanted to do. Grab all of this from the insert. bit of stuff to do here. We don't actually need so many of these. We don't have to do this in the complicated way that we're doing it. I don't think. Because if we look at def update in this one, not that, this. Takes fields and it takes filters. I wonder what the shape of filters is supposed to be. I think we'll be fine with the way we want to do it. Set fields and filters. So we have an ID and we have an updates KV. We're forcing that into a map, probably fine. And there's a fair chance we can just remove a lot of this. All we need here is update source, which we have. We have the updates. And we have the filters, which is ID. Then what did we pass for returning up here? I think we just pass an empty list. Yeah. Because returning is also not supported evenly across all these different things. So let's see if this breaks any of our tests that were previously working. 139. All right. Curious about what it produces, so might as well take a look. Update is what it produces in this particular test run. So there are some tests that are complaining because it's not getting what they are not getting what they're expecting, and that's because of the way I do the test repo, which is just this. So when update is run, it returns update. So that will mean a bunch of tests will get updates into them instead of a full query. That is something we can clean up. Oh, I screwed that one up. All right, and the values have changed as well. Intersperse map, blah, 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 title buzz. Okay, doesn't look like it wants a map, which we were sending, so def update here. Shove it into a list. Wait, I recognize this. What is this about? SQLite connection. Can actually look at that code. 89. It's going to do a query. .34 posts da 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 da. Title Baz. Equal question mark. So it does expect some different structure there. I think I know what that is. So we can shove that into that, and we can do fields, which is map.keys. Then we can do values, which is map.values. And these are the things we want to change and update. And then values is here plus the ID. And updates would be fields. Just update in a map 45. Oh yeah, and it's failing here because we're not getting that result anymore. I can just use this. And now there's a bunch of tests failing because we're looking for nil, which is expected. So store test. No, that's SQLite test. Okay. 84. Just don't expect anything right now. There. Okay. So those are passing. And then I have some special tests for this. And I think we need to take a look at those. Because let's see. Now here, this has gone away. This has gone away. Undefined variable, yeah, 95. I would like a consistent way of getting the last inserted ID back. That doesn't seem quite safe. And well, it's safe in the context of a transaction, I guess. So what I'm thinking here is whether I should introduce a way of getting the last ID, and I think that would be beneficial. I can't do that one, but so store no, I think I'll hold off on solving this because we tend to already sort of know the ID up front. I think. So we generate the new ID for the type. Then again, we don't return it, which we could do. This is probably gonna change, but it's a place to start. Let's see, more things to fix in the Postgres test. 96. So I started to add these tests because I want to test across a number of different databases, or I want to support the databases that Ecto supports with this. So I need to run a test across multiple databases, and I do a little bit of Docker and stuff to pull those, make sure I have them installed without needing to have them manually installed. Undefined function entity. Oh. So now we should be getting the new ID there. We should be getting this. I haven't changed the delete yet, but it's still throwing some errors. Just want to check this stuff. Test update. Parameters must be of length 1 for query. Title, and that's placeholder. Where ID is null. That's super incorrect. That's absolutely not what I want. But let's visit that. Then maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but rather, yes, it's doing that. That was something further down. Just delete, test update. That's actually interesting. Okay, so it caught the error that the title wasn't actually updated. And that's a problem. It's supposed to be. So let's, oh, not that. No. Let's go back to the store. Look at what we're doing. What actual SQL is being generated here. update posts set title equals 1, which is $1, which is a placeholder, where ID is null. So I need to look at what this filter actually wants. Def update. Not update all, but update. So that one takes filters. Field and nil. Oh, if it's a field and value. Hey Andres, welcome to the stream. Oh, that's annoying. So I'm expecting my ID is nil here, which is not what it's supposed to be. Yeah, okay. Then the filter is probably hooked up roughly correctly. Okay, so I'm supposed to pass the field and the value there, but I also need to pass it here. Cool. Yeah, this is, Andreas asked a nice question here. How are things progressing? What I'm seeing on screen looks dangerous. Yeah, database library internals, I guess. That's super dangerous. I'm just asking the modules to kindly generate a SQL for me rather than me doing it in a not cross-compatible way. So the ID is 0, and I think that's an error in the test, or maybe a little bit of both. So we check the Postgres test. This update. I don't trust it. The bad part about Tmux is I'm not super comfortable with scrolling up and down in it. Didn't even print the... Oh, I misspelled label. Well, Andreas, it might sound sane, but it's just barely the level of sane. So... it says it's not returning an ID. For the previous insert. Yeah, I also find the shortcuts for Tmux a little bit clunky, and the option is sort of, I bet you can reconfigure them, but then you're not doing the defaults, which means that every instruction you find will be inaccurate, which I also don't love. So here we are. There's a bunch of new IDs being made, but Oh. Silly me. And this is not what I should be doing. That error now makes sense. So if delete fails now, that's fine. Yeah, okay, I can remove a lot of logging now. A lot of funky print statements that can go away. So let's repeat this for this one. And we will know that we will lose our row count most likely. So let's just return nil. Okay, nil. Now I want to do delete. Prefix table, filters, returning. All right. So essentially this. Oh, right. Yeah, okay. So some editing of the test required. Test and code has to meet each other. Halfway there. Can do that. That there. And no, this is homegrown test suite. I haven't stolen anything. So this is just the basic operation. So essentially CRUD plus list. Create read, or no read actually. I haven't added read. But there's list, create, update, delete. Now we're at the point where we are testing the MySQL database, which didn't even have a chance of working before because I was trying to use returning. No. I told you, not cuddle, no create, no read. So it's create, update, delete, and list. It's cuddle. All right, so everything seems okay as far as the Postgres one. That's good. Was this still being output? Just gotta check if I removed all the IO dot things. Yeah, looks like it. So now for the MySQL test. So this is essentially making sure that all the basic operations work across the different databases. And I had some issues with, I was trying to use returning asterisk, which you can put on the end of a SQL statement. Yeah, it is a nice part of the SQL standard, returning, but it is also not evenly supported. And I think the returning support differs in some way in MySQL, or it's just that Ecto MySQL doesn't actually provide it. But I could not use the same SQL statement across these three, which led to me wanting to at least see if I could make the Ecto adapters generate SQL instead of me doing it, because I don't want to have to make sure I'm sticking to cross-compatible SQL in this library. I'd rather have the maintainers of Ecto do that for me, so it's only done in one place mostly. And it seems like I can do it that way, so. So that, and we're not guaranteed to get that. Where am I writing a new ID? I'm probably in my actual application code. Yeah, okay, there it is. I also have to wait for MySQL to start, which is annoying. I want to find a function entity. That's just something very wrong in the test. All right, this whole situation. And a repeat down here. So I'm making a sort of minimum viable entity here, which is all these need. And it completely tears down the database in between. That's why these tests are not in my main line, but they only live in my special database. So yeah, so MariaDB seems to support insert and returning, but not in the same way as Postgres. That's about right. That's what it seemed like from my reading, and from what results I was getting. And also Ecto support. So I don't know which part is limiting me, but I'm limited regardless. I tear down the entire Docker container and start it up again when I'm running these tests, and that's mostly to ensure so for future people needing to run these tests, I don't want them to sort of have trailing unnecessary containers and stuff. And so I tear them down and put them up. But this ran cleanly, which is nice. There was something I think there was something of a warning up here that I wanted to look at. Okay, variable new ID 144 in store. So I've separated out the Postgres and the MySQL tests from the main test suite. The SQLite tests live in the main test suite because they aren't this. They don't have these dependencies on having the actual databases installed. Hey Roger. Oh, pretty good. About ready for the weekend. So now I modified deleted, and now I have to modify my test repo. No, not my test repo. I need to modify my store test, because it will no longer receive these nice long query strings. They will just receive delete, which is unfortunate, but it's part of life. Oh, remove all data. Yeah, that's a special one. I wonder if there is a delete all here. Def delete all. But that one requires a query in that annoying way, which I don't want to do. So the way we should do remove all data is probably same as delete, but with no filter. Figure. Oh, it still built a weird class. That's no good. Okay. I may have to keep this one as is. But I think if I remove returning, this should work on any version of SQL. Then we get that, and then we can go to store test. Oh, the SQLite test. Remove all data. The test that actually verifies that it works. So if you have questions as I go, including what the heck are we doing, so fine to provide those. I'll try to answer in some kind of meaningful way. We're also about time to wrap up. But what we've done now is we've changed this way of making database calls to not necessarily need a specific SQL, but rather it can call out to SQLite 3 and so Ecto SQLite 3 and Ecto MySQL and Ecto Postgres to have them generate the more intricate SQL, which is good. It gives us, it should be more maintainable for one thing. I have a few that are good candidates as well. So drop table. What is DDL about? In the context of SQL, data definition, data description language is a syntax for creating and modifying database objects. Yeah, because I've seen DDL show up a few times recently. And that's what we get. So here's execute DDL. So if you want to create a table, you will use this. Where does it get table from? Ecto migration, okay. I'm not necessarily the one that's going to be implementing that. But these are some of the ways that I could yeah. So these are ways to generate that SQL if we need to. We might be able to actually lean on some of Ecto's migration system already, which would be ideal. So let's take a little bit of a look at what we have in staged, unstaged. So we broke up that module. We cleaned a lot of this up. Did I ever clean up insert? Yeah, okay. This looks fairly clean. It could be a little bit better, but pretty okay. Bunch of changes to tests. All look familiar. Sanity check. Cool. Just wanna rerun these tests again. Wait, what? Oh, right. I changed that after. So a few more modifications. Postgres. Move all. That's no longer the response we get there, and I bet MySQL has the same one. So these tests are very much copies of one another. They just have some different setup for setting up the database tables and stuff. Very minimal changes. And some special things around setting up the repo. And if you're on the normal test suite, they are skipped. Okay. And one thing we can do before we commit, now that the MySQL one is also working correctly, is log false, which should make it run more quietly. I think I set a manual wait for post or for MySQL in the end. I didn't get a health check to really work for it. There's probably one that would, but I just wanted a lot of margin. Make sure it worked. Okay. For update and delete. I'll consider that an improvement. I think we'll try to do something a little bit more exciting for next time, but I hope this was a little bit enlightening at least. It was something I actually needed to get done. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it there. All right. Thanks for watching and have a nice weekend.